Madagascar, Chicken Little, Finding Nemo, The Lion King, Fox and the Hound, Charlotte's Web. What do all these movies have in common? Well, they're about animals. And in these movies, the idea that animals have emotions and attitudes and personalities is expounded upon. And while these are fictional movies, it's important to remember that they're really a lot closer to the truth than we think. And in this speech, I'm going to be talking about the human-like qualities of animals and how they're so similar to us and why that's so important. So I'm going to start off with The Emotional Lives of Animals, which is also a book. The Emotional Lives of Animals by Mark Bekoff. There's a lot of stories in here that Mark Bekoff has gone through and seen animals who have wept over dead family members, animals who have been embarrassed and blushed, animals who have been happy and laughed, all these different stories. I'd like to read one story to you about an animal who got revenge. It says, finally here's another cautionary tale. Ron Schusterman, a marine biologist at the University of California, Santa Cruz, loves to tell the story of Franz, a young male chimpanzee who was kept in a lab and known to be a feces thrower. Ron's friend Larry was one of Franz's favorite targets. One day, Larry noticed that Franz's cage had been cleaned up, and so he teased Franz. You can't get me! Franz stared at Larry while he was being taunted, and when Larry finished, Franz regurgitated some partially digested food he had been fed a few minutes earlier and threw it at Larry, splattering him across the front. Franz then ran around in a victory dance. Now, this is a really funny story, but it's proof that animals get revenge and do these different things that that humans would do. They're very similar to us. And I'd also like to go into the fact that animals are intelligent. This article by Reznikova and Ryakobo called Numerical Competence in Animals with an Insight from Ants. They talk about how animals are able to, count, do different things like that. At the end of their article, they say a huge body of experimental data includes demonstrations of animals' abilities to count, to understand numerical information, to perform simple arithmetic operations. These animals that are able to do this are beetles, fish, salamanders, rodents, dogs, cats, horses, elephants, and primates. So these animals are just as intelligent as us, as a lot of humans, being able to do just simple arithmetic equations. And also, animals are able to communicate a lot like we do. In this article, Dolphins by Name by Sabrina Richards, the subtitle says, bottlenose dolphins can recognize and respond to their own signature whistles, strengthening the evidence that these whistles function like names. So these dolphins actually have given names, just like we humans do. Also, animals are able to communicate through nonverbal expressions, just like we are, like facial expressions, gestures, different things like that. In this article, What is an Animal Emotion? Franz D. Wall kind of goes into depth on that, saying that the facial expressions of animals is like a window into what they're really thinking, what they're really feeling, just like it can be for humans a lot of the time. And so these are just a few reasons and a few examples of how we are so closely how we're so similar to animals, or how they're similar to us. And it's really important for us to remember this. In this book, The Emotional Lives of Animals, in the foreword, Jane Goodall gives these really heart-wrenching reasons why it is so important for us to know that animals are so much like us. Animals do a lot of things for us. They're rescuers. They lead the blind. They do lots of things for us, and they also just bring happiness to our homes sometimes. And she goes into all these different things of how animals are tortured and they're abused and hurt, and how it's so heartbreaking that we don't understand. A lot of people don't understand that they're just like us, really. A lot of them are very similar to us, and a lot of people wouldn't do what they're doing to animals if they thought of them as humans. And so that's why this topic is so important, because it could save a lot of animal heartache and suffering. So I hope that in my speech that you're able to understand that animals are more than funny-looking creatures that have bricks for brains and don't really understand anything. They just exist. And now, while you're not probably going to be able to go home and have a conversation with your dog or cat, I hope you understand that they're a lot more like you than you think. And depending on the person, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But to end my speech, I would like to give you a quote by Mark Beckoff from this book, The Emotional Lives of Animals, and it is this: emotions are the gift of our ancestors. We have them, and so do other animals. We must never forget this. Thank you.